There was a little village in Yorkshire, and one night, it was a terrible night, the wind was blowing, the rain was coming down horizontal, and there was a couple in a little cottage, in bed nice and warm, listening to the wind, and suddenly there was a knocking on the door. And they said, who can that be this time of night? And the fella said, oh, it must be some nut or something, now would he be out in a night like this? His wife said, go down and answer the door, somebody might need help. And so, reluctantly, he went down, opened the door, and there's a little red-faced man standing there, and he said, could you give me a push, please? And he said, what, you expect me to come out on a night like this to give you a push? You get off and sort yourself out, and slammed the door and went back to bed. His wife said, well, who was it? And he said, it was a little red-faced man, wanted a push. She said, well, why didn't you help him? He said, oh, I told her to clear off, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning on a night like this. And she said, well, I'm ashamed of you. Do you remember that night when it was going to snow and we were stuck on the moors there and the motorist came along and he got us going and he followed us all the way home to make sure that we were all right. And he said, yes, but that was different circumstances. He said, no, it wasn't. Go down and sort him out. So he got dressed up in Wellingtons, Mac, sou'wester, and he went out and the rain was coming down so hard he couldn't see. And he said, hey, you there that wants a push, where are you? And the fellow said, I'm over here on the swing. Over in the States, they have these big state fairs. And there was this Idaho State Fair, which is like our Three Counties show, only must be at least 10 times bigger. They had all sorts of things. They had cattle shows, sheep shows, pig shows, sheep trials, everything you can think of in that line. And they had cooking competitions, who could bake the best apple pies and who could make the best marmalade. And apart from that, they had a timber section where they got lumberjacks, team of two and a double-handled saw, sawing a 4-foot diameter log in half, and the first one to get through the log had won, and things like that. And Cedric and Martha were local to they lived in the state, and they used to go most years. And they went round. Cedric was a bit bored with it. He'd seen most of it before, although it was so diverse, the things they'd got to offer. And he heard this plane humming, and he looked up and there was a plane looping the loop. And he said, I wonder if he's taking people up in that plane. And Martha said, well, it don't matter, it'd be too expensive anyway. Anyway, they went to this landing strip where the plane landed, and there's a note there, a notice there saying, 20-minute trips, can you stand the excitement? And he said, Martha, I'd love to go up in that, you know, and do the loop in this. It was a biplane. And she said, well, think about it, Cedric. It says there $50 for 20 minutes. $20 is $20. With that money you could buy some new timber and paint the garage floor, and you could do all sorts of things rather than have 20 minutes up in the air. And he moaned and groaned, but Martha won. He didn't get his trip in the aeroplane. Next fair they were back again, and Cedric's mind wasn't on what was going on around him. He wanted to find out if the plane was still looping the loop there. And it was. And he said, Martha, he said, I'm going on there. You talked me out of it last time. He said, but I'm going to have a go on that plane. He said, I might not get the chance again. So Martha said, it's $50 and $50 is $50. He said, it don't matter. He said, I've got the $50. And they were having this argument about the cost of it and one thing and another. And the pilot happened to hear them. And he walked over to them and he said, oh, you're interested in going up in the air in my plane, but you can't come to terms with the price. He said, well, I'm not robbing anybody. He said, I've got to make a living. There's a plane got to be insured. There's a fuel for the plane. He said, $50 is a fair price. And Martha said, $50 is $50. And turned to walk away, and the pilot said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take you up for a trip in my plane if you can stay completely silent for the whole of the trip, without saying a word, without screaming, laughing or anything like that. You've got to be absolutely silent. And if you can get through the trip without a gasp or anything like that, you can have the trip free. Martha said, well, that sounds like a deal to me. How about you? Said, yes, okay. And so they got aboard, and the pilot took off, and he immediately started looping the loop, and then he'd come down and as if he's going to crash into the trees and just level out at the last minute, and everything was quiet in the back. And the pilot tried everything, every trick he knew, you know, to frighten them so that one would gasp or squeal or something, but he was quiet all the way through. After 20 minutes he went in and landed, and Cedric jumped out, and the pilot got up to him and said, you know, you're the only ones that I've ever taken up that's never cried out or said something, you know. And Cedric said, well, he said, I nearly did say something when Martha fell out, but after all, $50.